Welcome to the show, everybody. Aren't those Philadelphia Phillies a fun team to watch? Hi, I'm Mark Farzetta. Welcome to the Farzy Show, presented by MyBookie, mybookie.ag. It's just lovely to have you along for the ride, ladies and gentlemen. Your Philadelphia Phillies get another win last night. Bryce Harper hits a grand slam. You put out this lineup that's just a little on the bonkers side. I get it, you want to load it up there with lefties, but you go out there last night and you beat a guy in Jose Berrios, who absolutely was dominant in Major League Baseball. He had 7 starts, and he had a 1.44 ERA. And it's stop me if I'm wrong, but there's been this conversation about the Phillies not beating anybody. The Phillies have had this great start, but the Phillies haven't beaten anybody. The Phillies haven't beaten him. This great start. The Phillies haven't beaten anybody. The Phillies, this team that hasn't beaten anybody, has somehow not lost a series since the second series of the season, and yet they haven't beaten anybody. Now, I understand it's not exactly a murderer's row of teams that they've beaten to this point, but you can only beat who's in front of you. And you know who was in front of you yesterday? Jose Berrios, who only had the best ERA in baseball. So you went into that game, and you had Kody Clemens in the lineup. Okay, you had Edmundo Sosa in the lineup. That's interesting there. Whit Merrifield playing, professional hitter. So I'm not going to knock him. And what'd you do yesterday? You ran him in the 4th inning after just 3 2/3, taking him for 8 runs on 7 hits, including a 2-run home run and a RBI triple by Kody Clemens, and a grand slam from Bryce Harper. Yesterday was a good day. Yesterday was a very, very good day. The Phillies, a team who haven't beat anybody, chased the MLB leader in ERA in the 4th inning of yesterday's ball game after taking him for 8 runs. That's it. It's pretty good. I'd say if you're looking for some feathers in the Phillies' caps to, if you need to, legitimize their historic start, yesterday's a pretty big feather. Hawk feather? Eagle feather? I don't know what kind of feather's bigger, but it's a big feather in the Phillies' cap, and you love to see it. Now, as that happened at the plate yesterday, by the way, Keith Pompey is going to join the show, talk about your 10-9-8 76ers, so we're going to talk to Keith Pompey a little bit later. But here's the deal. The Phillies yesterday at the plate were awesome, and on the mound, Christopher Sanchez got exactly what he needed yesterday. After a 3-inning start on the road against Cincinnati Reds and a 5-inning start that was a struggle-filled start against the Angels, Christopher Sanchez went out there yesterday and got you 7 innings of 1-run baseball. And I know they noted it throughout. I noticed it as the game was going on, but change-up after change-up after change-up, and we'll go through the entire game, but oh my goodness, Christopher Sanchez yesterday was phenomenal with that change-up, and he was in control. 89 pitches to get through. First off, if you're telling me Christopher Sanchez is getting 7 innings, I'm like, how many pitches did he need to get through that? Well, if you base it, of course, on his 2 previous starts, but this time around, he only needed 89 pitches. After the game, Rob Thompson used the perfect word for it, efficient. 89 pitches to get through 7 innings of 1-run baseball. That's pretty good there for Christopher Sanchez. And the changeup was working great. He was mixing his pitch as well, but the changeup was his go-to pitch. He had a couple of 3-pitch strikeouts in yesterday's game. So you love to see that for Christopher Sanchez. You love to see Kody Clemens hitting home runs. He's now played in only 3 games this season. He's got 2 home runs. He had 4 home runs in all of last year. So, yeah, it's a pretty nice start to the season, not just for the Phillies, but also for Kody Clemens in the limited time that he's been up in the big leagues. And, yes, honorable mention, Bryce Harper's baseball bat. 2 inanimate objects that get – I never use that phrase, but there you go. 2 inanimate objects that get honorable mentions yesterday. Number 1, of course, Bryce Harper's bat, who Kody Clemens hit the 2-run home run with, and the RBI triple, if I'm not mistaken. Also, Bryce Harper, of course, hit the grand slam. So, honorable mention to the inanimate object of Bryce Harper's bat, which, unfortunately, Kody Clemens shredded, splintered, in the 8th inning, getting yet another RBI. Hopefully it's not maybe it was the last RBI in that bat. So now it's time to switch bats anyway. But anyway, and then second inanimate object, the angled wall in center field at Citizens Bank Park, to which Kody Clemens had his RBI triple carom off of. And then Edmundo Sosa had an RBI triple, and it also caromed off that same angled wall in center field at CBP. So shout out to the players. Shout out to those two inanimate objects as the Phillies just dominated yesterday. Man, we got a lot to get to in yesterday's game, and we will certainly do that. A lot of stories coming out surrounding the 76ers now, most notably around Paul George. I'm going to give you a little teaser for one of my number one takeaways from this conversation with Keith Pompey. We spoke last night. We'll let you hear the conversation coming up in a second from Keith Pompey. And this is unfortunate. The Sixers are approaching this offseason with a lot of assets. A lot of things going on there, okay? Including $65 million in cap space. Now, there's things the Sixers have to do with that. I know they'd like to bring back Kelly Oubre. I know they'd like to bring back Nico Batum. Got to pay Tyrese Maxey, and he's pretty good at basketball, so that's going to be a nice little chunk of change there. But here's the thing that's horrifying, that is my number one takeaway from this conversation, is that this is going to be a not boring. I want to back off of exciting. All right, I don't want to go on exciting, because that exciting implies that something really big is going to happen, right? And I don't want to jump onto that just yet. But here's what's going on with your 10-9-8 76ers. Because they have all this money, because they're a team that needs to spend some money to win now, and Daryl Morey made it very clear, crystal clear, that they want to build around Tyrese Maxey and Joel Embiid, and they're all about winning now. And because he also just flat out said, again, it must be, I don't know, just time for general managers and directors of basketball operations, I guess, to be a little bit more open and honest than we're used to hearing from. Them. They need a wing. He just came out and said it the other day. And we need a wing. That number one goal? Well, definitely not center, definitely not guard. We need a wing player, because we have those two other guys at those positions. So when you're talking about who we really need, who we really want, it's going to be a wing player. Thank you. Okay, so Paul George. But here's the thing that's so horrifying from Keith Pompey. The fact that the Sixers have all this money means that the Sixers' name is going to be floated out a ton this offseason. Whether it's Paul George trying to drive up the price from the Clippers, and he wants to stay in Los Angeles. Whether it's LeBron James trying to drive up the price wherever. I mean, you would think LeBron James, come on, how much more money do you need there, bro? Turns out when it's like, $40 million, $50 million, it could use a couple more. I could use $50 million. Could you use $50 million? I mean, I might be able to use $50 million. I could find a way to spend it, I guess. So, yeah, the Sixers with all this money are going to be a name that is constantly thrown out. Oh, the Sixers have all that money. They want to pay me. So if you guys don't want to pay me, it's on you. And when we talk about that money, we'll get into some specifics later. But one of the things Keith Pompey highlighted in his story yesterday is Kawhi Leonard got a 3-year, $149 million deal. Now, as of right now, the LA Clippers reportedly don't want to give that same kind of money to Paul George. If they wanted to give him a big contract, the biggest they could go with him is 4 years, $221 million. This is real. This is actual money. They don't have like a different currency in the NBA. This is a real thing. 4 years, $221 million. Holy Stromboli. So yeah, the Sixers with all that money are going to be brought up a lot when it comes to trying to drive up the price for yourself if you're a free agent of note in the NBA. By the way, Maxey can get up to $205 million over 5 years. Embiid is already now he's going into year 2 of the 4-year deal that was 213. It's good to be a basketball player these days, folks. It's good to be a basketball player. So, yeah, Keith Pompey will be joining us coming up in a little bit to talk about, where the 76ers are at right now. But as of this very moment, I am extremely excited about your Philadelphia Phillies. to put it in perspective, just in the overall grand scheme of things, here's where we're at right now with the Phillies. The Phillies, through these first 37 games of the season, they've only had 2 starts to the season that have been better than this. Somebody tweeted me during last night's game where I was just tweeting out like how amazed I am at everything the Phillies are doing right. And you look at the lineup yesterday that Rob Thompson put together, and it's like, that's extreme. And then they put up 10 runs, 8 runs again on the best ERA in baseball. I think the ERA coming in was 144. The ERA going out is 285. The ERA against the other teams he faced, Jose Barrios, 144. Against the Phillies, I want to say 2250, if I'm doing my math right, for the ERA over 3 2/3, 8 runs allowed. Holy Lord. Yeah. So the Phillies, as I'm all excited and giddy about what's going on with the Phillies to start this season, somebody tweeted me saying, the last time the Phillies had a start like this, I was 3. The person didn't disclose their age, but I assume they meant they were born in 1990 when the Phillies did this in 1993. I'm not that far off. Only like 7 years. Phillies did this in 1976, which is quite a bit ago. 27-10 through their first 37 games. In 1993, 27-10 through their first 27 games. And then this year, 26-11 to start things off for this season. And what's absolutely insane to me is that you got to go back, just in recent history, some recent history. For some people, this is foreign as well. But you got to go all the way back to 2010 to even think about a time where you were putting out a start to the season like this. And that wasn't even as good as 93 or 76. What? And the Phillies are doing it again this year. It's so special. And I love the fact that these numbers compare historically to the other starts the Phillies have had this, in their history, because you're getting such great years from Nola. You're getting such great years from Zach Wheeler. You're getting such great years from Ranger Suarez. And I say years, and we all know it's the start of the season, but you're getting such a great start from these pitchers. And this lineup is incredible. And to see Bryce Harper hit a grand slam yesterday, to get a contribution from Kody Clemens yesterday, to see Whit Merrifield start to figure it out as a Philly, Bryson Stott, to see them get thrown adversity with Trey Turner in the middle of all this, having to go on the IL for 4 to 6 weeks. I mean, there's just no stopping this team. And through this point, they have just figured it out. And I hate to use this phrase that really got run ragged through the beginning of the Eagles season, the 10-1 and all that stuff. And it's find ways to win. But when you're getting contributions from Edmundo Sosa, when you're getting contributions from Kody Clemens, when Christopher Sanchez, for the most part, other than his last 2 starts previous to last night, figuring it out. When Spencer Turnbull is coming in and is being completely dominant to start out the season, and now unfortunately moved to the bullpen. He made his debut there last night. When you're getting guys like that to step up and help carry this team, so nobody else drops the ball, it's a next man up mentality. Who's going to be the hero? Who's going to be the hero today? Who's going to be the hero tomorrow? When you're getting a historic start to the year, like from Alec Boehm, it is amazing to see it all come together to help this team get to the point that they're at now. And I'll put it like this. I don't want to say hit their stride in June. And if you go around, let's see, in about 2 weeks, I think the Phillies face off against the Mets, maybe a week. They go against the Mets. It's very similar to the time last year where around May 25th, I think it was, the Phillies went into New York and they got swept out of Flushing. They got flushed in Flushing against the Mets, right? And then after that, Kyle Schwarber gets moved up the top of the lineup, and then the calendar flips over to June. Little struggles in the first couple of days of June, and then switch was flipped. And the Phillies went on an incredible tear. And they rode that all the way into August, and that's when Trey Turner figured it out. And then they rode that through August and September, and then they won the wild card again. And then they were, unfortunately, 1 win away. 1 win away from making it to another World Series. Yeah. But that's still pretty good. That's still a pretty good year. Do we have greater expectations than that this year? Absolutely. We want to see more than that this year? Of course. But seeing all these guys put it together at the same time is pretty special. So I want to stay away from, if they hit their stride in June, watch out, because they seem to be hitting a bit of a stride, historically, as a matter of fact. So I want to stay away from that phrase, but this is the phrase I'll use. If there's another level to this, if there's another level to, some of the most runs in baseball, if there's another level to best ERA in baseball, if there's something like that, and they can kick it up to the next level, oh, man. Start. Forget about historic starts to the season, and let's talk about historic seasons. But right now, when it feels like somebody else is going to step up, whether it's Kyle Schwarber with a home run or Bryce Harper or Nick Castellanos figuring it out. Nick Castellanos, how about that? Opens the scoring with his second double of the season yesterday with an RBI. There you go, Castellanos. Went 0 for the rest of the way, but you're seeing him walk more. You're seeing him hit extra base hits now. It's fantastic to see that. And this season has just been so much fun. When your team wins, it's a lot of fun. And man, we talked about it yesterday, man, you look at this team, you get a baseball team that's red hot in the summer. Ooh, that's so much fun for a sports city like Philadelphia. So much fun. Let's get into yesterday's game. Let's walk through some of the stuff before we get into the Sixers conversation and break it down a little bit further. But one of the things that's really cool about this Phillies squad, again, is that just everybody seems to have an answer to help this team win ball games. And yesterday it was Christopher Sanchez for me that, look, I thought I was going to get some runs yesterday. If you would have told me they're going up against Berrios, I would have said they would have eked out 3 runs, 4 runs. If you would have told me this lineup that they were going to put out there yesterday, I would have said, 3 runs, 2 runs. They put up 8. Can't say it enough in the first 3 2/3. But just to highlight Christopher Sanchez, what he was able to do for you. Springer goes up there to lead things off there in the first inning. He gets him up in the count, or he goes up in the count. Christopher Sanchez does on Springer, 0-2. Springer then gets a single to right field. And like, okay, lost him 0-2. Let's not make this a long day. Let's be able to put out some players here. Then Guerrero steps up to the plate. He gets a 3-1 count. He's able to put him away with a ground out comebacker there to Christopher Sanchez. Trey Turner. Kevin Turner steps up there to the plate, and he gets the ground out to first. You get the second out of the inning, and then Bichette strikes out on 3 pitches. He's having a struggle-filled season. So what looked like it might not go great for Christopher Sanchez to start off, he's able to get Bo Bichette out there on 3 pitches. He goes into the second inning. He's able to have a 1-2-3 inning. He gets Kurt to strike out on the fastball, on the changeup away. So the changeup is working for him. All right, start to use that a little bit more. Gets into a little bit of trouble in the third inning, and this is where I think things really changed. He has 2 runners on after a single and a walk. Springer steps back up to the plate. I didn't see Caleb Cotham. I can't remember if Caleb Cotham came out or not. But Garrett Stubbs decides this is time to have a mound conference. He goes out there, and rightfully so. He just walked Kiermaier on 4 pitches. So Stubbs goes out there and be like, dude, what are we doing? We cool? They were cool. He head induces a 4-6-3 double play. He's got 2 outs in the inning. And then to cap it off, he allows 1 more walk to Guerrero, which worries you a little bit. And then Turner flies out to center field, and that ends the threat. So he had a little bit of trouble there in the third inning, but he got his way out of it. Then what happens? Bo Bichette steps up to the plate again in the 4th inning. He gets him to strike out on a changeup on just 3 pitches. Then he gets Schneider to strike out. What does he use? The changeup again. And he gets him to strike out there. Allows a double off the wall over the head of Whit Merrifield in left field. But then he gets Kurt to ground out to second base to end that inning. All the while, by the way, the Phillies are getting things done at the plate. In the bottom of that 4th inning, that's when Clemens has the RBI triple and Harper has the grand slam. Then in the 5th inning, he gets Kiner Falafel to strike out on a changeup again. And then he gets Kiermaier to ground out on the play to Stubbs. Stubbs was able to make the play on that. And then Springer grounds out the 3rd on a 5-pitch at bat. So very effective, very efficient. And he kept on using that changeup to help get him out of jams. It was really great. It was a great performance. And there was some adversity along the way, but he continued to find his way out of it for Christopher Sanchez. So you love to see that. And the Phillies just kept on adding runs. You get that first inning run, thanks to the RBI double by Nick Castellanos. And then in the second inning, you got the Clemens 2-run home run to right field to make it 3-0. Go into the 4th inning. Clemens already, after that second inning, this is incredible, he already got the triple and he already got the home run. So the cycle watches on. Just needs a double and a single, baby. Unfortunately, not able to get there. But Clemens gets the RBI triple there in the 4th inning to center field off the angled wall in center. And then Bryce Harper hits the grand slam. The thing about the Bryce Harper grand slam, a couple of things about it. One, it was a slurve. 2, it was an 0-2 pitch, so he lost him. 3, the last 3 home runs Bryce Harper has hit, 2 were 3-run home runs in the last 2 games. And then he's like, hey, you know what? Why get 3? Why hit a 3-run home run when you can just hit a grand slam? 3-run home runs are boring at this point. Why go for 3 runs? You can get 4 on the grand slam. I'll hit the grand slam. So he hits the grand slam. But all 3 pitches came from low in the zone, change up on one of them, and then the other was a sinker low in the zone. And then last night was the slurve that didn't slurve enough, and just he went down and smacked it. And you look at the changeup that he hit out of the park that just eked its way out, but he had to go down. He hit a dead center field, but it was still a row back. So it's not like he didn't get it. He got it. And then this pitch again yesterday, he has to really put a lot of muscle on in order to muscle it out of the ballpark. And this one, he put a row back into the seats. So those are a couple of things about Bryce Harper. And again, the Clemens home run, the triple, the grand slam, all courtesy of Bryce Harper's bat. They even got the shot of him in the dugout. Hey, that's my bat. All right. So you're up 8-0 just like that, and you chase the number 1 MLB ERA out of the game. So that's great. Then the Phillies added again in that 8th inning. They got the RBI triple from Sosa, and they got the RBI ground out from Kody Clemens. You absolutely love to see this from the Phillies. We talked about the lineup. I mentioned what that lineup was yesterday. If you look at it for the Phils, one of the wild things was, again, you had Edmundo Sosa in there. You had Kody Clemens in there. Whit Merrifield, who you're going to be seeing a lot of anyway. He gets it going for you. And you had Garrett Stubbs. That's the name I'm missing. Garrett Stubbs walked twice yesterday. Should have walked 3 times. That last at bat, that pitch was outside. Well outside. And he got rung up. Dinner reservations or something for the umpire. But anyway, that's the lineup you went with yesterday, and you scored 10 runs. I know I will mock. I will jeer. Tinker Topper. For those of you that love the gut feeling stuff, and that's me, I like the gut feeling stuff. Yesterday was a big win for the gut feeling crowd. When you look at that lineup. So good for them. Kody Clemens, now 3 games, 2 home runs. He's 2 home runs shy of matching his Phillies high of 4 in a season. So that's pretty spectacular. Here is Rob Thompson on his lineup and what it means when Kody Clemens is able to have instant success when he's called up.
Kody in the lineup.
It's awesome.
And he delivers like that.
It's really awesome. I'm so happy for him. I really am. We had good at-bats all night. We put 90 pitches on one of the best pitchers in baseball in 3 2/3 innings. That's some production, just that.
In itself, production. Merrifield, 7-pitch at bat. Going through some of these right now. He had 60 pitches after 3 innings of work. 60 pitches after 3 innings of work. Nothing was made easy for him yesterday. And it's funny. You talk about the Bryce Harper grand slam. Of course, that ended with a huge, the biggest exclamation point you can have for a single at that. But he was down 0-2. So even though Barrios was able to go up there, was able to go up there and get up in the count, Harper was patient, did what he could, and then he got the pitch he needed, put it out of the park. Pretty incredible. Harper also had an 8-pitch at bat that ended with a single in the first inning. Schwarber on his first at bat of the game worked a 3-2 count. He got rung up on the changeup. Oh, that's right. The Phillies helped him out a little bit when Castellanos got picked off at second base in the first inning. But there was a bunch of at-bats yesterday. The Phillies just made him work throughout. 60 pitches through those first 3 innings. And then after that, in the 4th inning, is when he got run with just 2 outs. And the grand slam and the RBI triple. Good day for the Phillies yesterday. Certainly a good day for the Phillies. Without further ado, by the way, the Phillies remain the not that I want to go scoreboard watching in May, but the Phillies are now up 3 games as they were, and they went to yesterday. The Braves won yesterday, so they are up still 3 games in the NL East. A couple of more numbers on the Phils: 7 straight wins at home, longest active 7 straight wins overall. That's her 7th straight win yesterday. Longest active in the MLB. 11 straight wins at home. This is insane to me. 2nd longest win streak at Citizens Bank Park. The run differential during their 11-game home win streak is a plus 51. That's pretty damn good. It's their longest home win streak since 2010 when they won 12. So go ahead, baby. Keep on making or matching history if you're the Phillies and go out there and handle the business tonight. Or excuse me, this afternoon, 1:05 start time. Chris Bassett against Aaron Nola. So let's get things going. All right. Without further ado, let's jump on the Rothman Orthopedics guest line. Let's get your 76ers fixed to figure out what the hell they're going to do this offseason. Keith Pompey tries to answer all these questions and more. By the way, I think we both messed up. I think Sixers would play the Pacers. Or no, excuse me. Sixers want to play the Pacers. Sixers would play the Celtics. Not the Pacers. The Knicks are playing the Pacers. I think I threw him off by my stupid comment. We were thinking about the Knicks and that stupid foul call. The flop by Dante DiVincenzo. Anyway, without further ado, let's jump on the Rothman Orthopedics guest line. Talk to our friend, Mr. Keith Pompey. Sixers beat writer extraordinaire, as well as Locked On Sixers podcast with the Locked On Sports Philadelphia YouTube channel and Locked On Sports Network. The great Mr. Keith Pompey joins us. What's going on there, Keith?
What's good, man? I'm surprised you're calling me great. Do I owe you any money?
No. You just keep on giving me the good vibes, man. The Sixers aren't giving me the good vibes, but Keith Pompey always gives me the good vibes. I'll tell you that much. Now, you and I are now brothers of the Locked On Sports Network. You have been there for a little bit there, 5 days a week, pumping out the podcast there, 76ers podcast. How are you enjoing that?
So I enjoy it. I enjoy doing it. I enjoy doing it. It's crazy now. Now you got to find stuff to talk about, but that is cool.
Yeah, I will say this, man. The writers, I give you guys so much credit because I do not have the attention span to sit there, think, and write. I could sit and think and talk. I got that down. But the writing aspect of it, no thanks. Like, I'm just reading your stuff over the last couple of days, whether it's the reaction to Daryl Morey's press conference, the reaction to the end of the season, the reaction to Paul George rumors, like was on Inquirer.com. As of Tuesday afternoon, people can read that as well. It's so much stuff, so much content. And at least at the end of the year, at this point of the season, you could talk about all the different angles and all the different directions the Sixers could go. But before we jump to that, Keith, I do have to ask you, we're used to 2nd round exits. We're not so used to 1st round exits. Why are we here right now, Keith? Why aren't you covering at least a 2nd round series with the Pacers, whatever? What's going on here?
It's weird. I think a lot of it had to do with Joel Embiid getting injured, of course, but I also think that after the trade deadline, the team got worse, if you're going to be, in my opinion. And I feel like, I do like the addition to campaign. Kyle Lowry, he's a Philly guy. You bring him back home. He has that championship pedigree. But I think that when you lose Marcus Morris, you lost Patrick Beverly. I think you lost toughness. And even when you talk about Jaden Springer, a guy who was on there who was a gritty defender, getting underneath people's skins, even Daniel House. I know people didn't really like him, but as far as his game, but he was always good for knocking down a three and D'ing somebody up. So I think that New York had those type of players, more of those type of players than the 76ers did. What they had was a bunch of specialists, the Sixers, but they didn't have a lot of grimy, gritty type of guys. And I think that's the reason why we're here. I think that's why we're in Indianapolis right now.
I know a couple of days ago, I think it was on the 5th, you released that story of your reaction to the end of the season with the 76ers. And you did talk about losing that toughness, losing that edge. I mean, Buddy Hield sounded great at the time. I know he especially sounded great to Daryl Morey, and Daryl Morey sounded like he was being honest and then trying to talk himself back into it being a good idea with his answer on Buddy Hield the other day at his end of the season press conference. But I mean, if you're talking about straight up and giving that toughness back to the Sixers, Marcus Morris is a guy I would have loved to seen in a Sixers uniform in the postseason.
Oh, no, well, without question. And Marcus Morris was one of the guys who mastered how to play off of Joel Embiid. Like whenever Joel was in there, he always knew where to slide to get away and get an open three, right? Not only that, it was one of those things. We're talking about toughness. So they were in Detroit, and it was funny. It was Patrick Bev and it was Marcus Morris, and they were playing the Pistons. The Pistons got some nice young guys, whatever. And all of a sudden, like somebody bumps one of the Pistons. The guy looks back and he sees Marcus and Pat, and no words were said. You know what I mean? No words were said. And basically, when later on, next time they played the Pistons, I talked to one of their PR guys, and they said to me, everyone in that locker room and a lot of people around the league got a lot of respect for Marcus. No one messes with him. So, you know what I mean? So like you said, that's the toughness, and that's the stuff that they lost. Like I'm telling you, like these two guys, if you like them or not, I know Pat Bev gets on people's skin, the antics under his skin, the antics that he does. But at the same time, on a basketball court, he irritates the opposing players. And you know he would have done that to the Knicks.
Yeah, it brings that Philly attitude to the court, right? Of a bigger position, not of like a Kyle Lowry. You know what I mean? But anyway, when it comes to, you mentioned Joel Embiid, his overall health, he kind of said, and I didn't believe a word of it, but he kind of said during his final press conference after Game 6, the knee was good, he was good, whatever. I don't believe that for a second. What is real? Where was he at health-wise, the way you understand it, by the time they closed out that series?
You know, I think he took him. I don't know. Like it's hard to say because he kept how should I say it, falling to the ground and things like that. And he kept like saying, "Oh, everything is great, everything is great." But I mean, you saw it. I mean, you saw, and when they played the Orlando Magic, how he fell, and then he goes down, and he comes back out. And the same thing happened in Game 1. You also saw how he, late in games, he just didn't have any lift. And later on in the season, early in games, he didn't have any lift in like games, 5 and 6. So, you know, I think that it was bothering him more than what he was saying. I would say that Joel might have been 80%, might have been at most 80%, because he just didn't look like the guy he did before he suffered the injury, nor did he look like the guy he did once he came back. Because once he came back, I want to say when they went to Memphis, you know, I was like, wow, Joel is back. Like, I think that might have been his 4th game or whatever. I'm like, Joel is back. And then all of a sudden, once they played Orlando and he fell, you notice he no longer had the lift. So give it to him. He gutted it out. You know, he was playing on one leg essentially.
I'll say this. I've been just as critical as the next guy, who I think is a realist when it comes to judging Joel Embiid and softness in the playoffs, and he's never had whatever. Look, was he healthy? No, obviously not. That's a given. But when it comes to softness, the guy should Embiid at least playing in that series. And the only evidence you need is Paul Reed's minutes. It's the only evidence you really need when you think about it.
Exactly, dude. And I felt bad, but I did it. Like, you know, I showed a picture of a building being imploded, and I said, "Uh-oh, live picture of Joel Embiid's minutes." I mean, 9 minutes when he's off the floor. I mean, because that's what it was. It was like you were waiting for it, and you're like, "Uh-oh, here they come." And you know what? And I like Paul Reed, and I do. But the thing is,
we all do. We all do.
We all do. But it's like when Embiid is out of the game, you realize how much just his presence alone helps the 76ers. You know what I mean? His presence alone helps the 76ers.
Yeah, 1,000%. So, look, we'll get to the wing player and we'll get to all that good stuff. But I know one of the things that really wasn't acknowledged with Daryl Morey during his press conference is like, I find it almost pathetic. And this isn't just me. This is almost as a fan base. It's like we long for the days of Andre Drummond. Like, good Lord. We miss Andre Drummond. Like, and that's not a knock on Andre Drummond. He was just the perfect guy to be like, oh, Joel needs a breather. Here I go. And then he goes into the game. Like, is there going to be a guy that you can see the Sixers targeting, or is it Paul Reed, ride or die?
You know, I think they got to go out and get another center. I mean, you know, the thing is, and I wouldn't be surprised if they go hard after Andre Drummond. You know, I don't know.
Oh, thank God. Our prayers will be answered.
Yeah. I mean, because here's the deal. Like, the problem is, you know, they need, and I think Paul is a good role player, but I also think that Paul's playing out of position as a center. He's like one of those hybrid guys who can do a lot of different things, in junk offenses, junk lineups. But I think that you need a guy that's going to be out there and is going to get your rebounds. Is going to have a low block presence. Is going to be, big enough, strong enough to like keep guys off the block and don't allow them to get to their position. When you look at Paul, he's gotten stronger. He's athletic. He does things, but they need a big center. They need a big body, especially for a guy like Embiid, who, let's face it, he's going to mix X amount of games, right? So you need someone that's going to be able to do some of the things that he does. And believe me, Drummond's one of the best rebounders in the league.
I'm not asking for your prediction. If I could be so bold as to ask you, if you're in the room with Daryl Morey in the front office and everything, and they just go, hey, Keith, what do you think about? And then they ask you this question. Are we wise to advance with Joel Embiid and Tyrese Maxey? Or is it time that we need to say, oh, look, we don't know what we could get for Joel Embiid. He's obviously not been reliable health-wise in the playoffs. We love him. He's great, MVP, blah, blah, blah. But do they need to move past Joel Embiid? What would you tell them? Would you tell them milk it for another year, fold it in right now and see what you could get? What would you tell Daryl Morey and the rest of the front office?
I would think that I will hold on to him for at least another year, at least, maybe even longer. And here's the problem with that. We saw Joel Embiid, and I get a lot, but we saw what he can do when he's healthy, right? But we also see, everyone sees he's not always healthy, like, that he always gets injured. So with that being said, if I'm saying Joel Embiid is the second coming of, when healthy, he's the second coming of Wilt Chamberlain. But am I trying to get a fourth option, or am I trying to get somebody over the hill for him that really doesn't equate? So then you say, like, and I'm going to give an example. Lou Williams, he was right when he says, okay, so you want Kevin Durant for Joel Embiid, but you also want some draft picks. They're not going to give you the draft picks because they're saying Joel Embiid is injury prone. So, you know what I mean? Like with the New York Knicks, remember, and I had a story earlier where the New York Knicks was trying to put together a package of Evan Fournier, Julius Randle, and 800 draft picks and a couple other players, right? And everybody was like, they're stupid. They're not going to give up that. I mean, the Sixers not going to take that. No, they're not. But at the same time, you're not going to give up. You're not going to give up Anthony Edwards for Joel Embiid with his injury history. You understand what I'm saying? So to me, it's one of those things. The best thing the Sixers could do is say, look, Joel, for your knee problems, maybe if you shed 20 pounds, maybe if you do this, maybe if you do that, and let's just try to see, like, if we can get through the season. Because I'm here to tell you, when he's healthy, there's not a more dominant player. And I think if you trade him, I think you might as well be, this is going to be the process part too. Because you're not, I don't think you're going to get what you think you're going to get for him. I don't.
The common thing throughout the season was the Rudy Gobert package. Oh, you get the Rudy Gobert package. And now with another injury, 2 tweaks to that as well, it just seems like it's next to impossible for a huge deal to be pulled off like that. And the God's honest truth, I wanted to see the Sixers. We all want to see the Sixers win a championship at some point, and the best chance they have of winning a championship in the near future is with Joel Embiid on the roster, and that's eventually what I come back to. That's why I'm not pushing him out the door, but I might take a phone call or two if I'm Daryl Morey.
Of course, you always have to. But and here's the thing: that we talk about the Rudy Gobert package, but what did they get back for outside of draft picks? I mean, did they get any players that's going to help them?
No.
You know what I mean? Like,
and that's the catch, because you also want to win now with Tyrese Maxey. Like you can talk about the Joel Embiid window, and then you can talk about the little longer or wider window maybe of a Tyrese Maxey. But that window, to go back to that tired cliche, is never going to be bigger than it is with Maxey and Embiid on the team.
Bingo. You're right. You're exactly right.
It's bonkers, man. All right. So Paul George LeBron James. What are we doing here, Keith? What direction are the Sixers
Jimmy
going?
Butler too.
Jimmy Butler. Oh, I forgot. How dare I forget you? All right, then anybody else is anybody else making a comeback? Larry Bird, maybe? Is he coming back? Kareem coming back?
Let him be the backup.
All right. So of the Paul George, Jimmy Butler, LeBron James school, I mean, I assume George is the most probable. I don't know. Where are you at with the Sixers in that third wheel of what should be part of the Sixers' big three?
See, it's weird because when on paper, I like what Paul George does, right? I like his game. Do I think that Paul George is a first option again still in his career? No, I don't. But when you talk about a guy who can defend, you talk about a guy who can do some of the things he's doing, like he's shooting a career best. He shot a career best 41.3% from threes this season, right? So he does a lot of the intangible things. My concern is I talk to certain people and they're like, yeah, I'm hearing Paul George is coming. But last year, everybody thought James Harden was going to Houston. Remember, they thought it was a done deal. Everybody said that. So to me, my concern with the Paul George thing is now if the Clippers give him the money that he really wants, is he talking about coming to the Sixers? You know what I mean? So, and like that's the thing. Like, this guy is a guy from LA, from the Valley. He loves it out there. No pressure. He can do what he wants. He can play with his friends. He'll come out here, and if he struggles, they're going to treat him like he's Tobias Harris. You know what I mean? Like, let's be real. Like, that's what we do here, right?
I will say over 5+ years, Toby kind of earned that, not for nothing.
I mean, yeah, but yes and no. But at the same time, is he, I'm not taking up for him, but you are right. He struggled. But at the same time, what it is he got paid money to be a star, but at best, he was the third option. At best, right? So Paul George, what is he going to do? Are you going to take stuff away from Maxey? But of all the people we just named, like we talk about the ones we seriously named, talk about LeBron, we talk about Butler, like he would be the best one. Now, the only thing is, how serious is he coming here? And the reason why he would be the best one is because to me right now, we're going to hear a lot of stories coming out about guys who want to be a 76er. The reason being is the Sixers are a good team, a playoff caliber team, but they have a lot of cap space. So what's going to happen is, and some of these dudes like Jimmy Butler is, hey, if they don't give me an extension, then I'm asked to be traded, or maybe they'll trade me. You know what I mean? And like trade me to Philadelphia. But deep down inside, yeah, that sounds good. But who do the Sixers have that Miami Heat want right now? You don't even have a roster. So you got to get a third team involved. It's just too much work. And the same thing with LeBron. Like I remember years ago when they went after Paul George. Remember they went star hunting. The Sixers owners hopped on the plane. Everybody was excited. They got a meeting with LeBron. LeBron didn't show up for the meeting. They met with Rich Paul. So it's like, do you want to go through that again? You know what I mean? So like, fool me once.
Right. Yeah. That's pretty crazy. I go back in the day and think about that, and it's rather depressing. So now with LeBron, would it be the same thing with Jimmy Butler? Would it be the same thing, or would Jimmy Butler actually want to come back to Philadelphia?
Here's my thing. Like, I think Jimmy Butler, I think, to be honest with you, that would be a huge mistake probably on Miami's part by letting Jimmy go. I think it may even be a huge mistake on Jimmy's part, because Jimmy, it's great to say he'll come back to Philly and we all love him and everybody, play off Jimmy. But at the same time, his identity is with the Heat. He's the guy that goes down there. He wills them to win, right? They know that. Like, you look at that team, they got a bunch of undrafted players and second-round picks, and Bam Adebayo, Tyler Hero, and Jimmy Butler. And Jimmy is the alpha dog, right? So what they need to do is, if Jimmy, and you look at how they lost in the first round and what they did last year with Jimmy. So it's like, if the guy wants an extension, give him an extension. Because the thing is, and then if you're Jimmy, if you leave, and I know you love Joel Embiid, you really do. That's your guy. But at the same time, if you come here, they're not saying, Joel and Maxey aren't going to say, okay, Jimmy, we know you're the alpha dog in the room, so we're going to run everything through you, and we're going to be second and third fiddle. No. I mean, Tyrese Maxey is the star, the young emerging star of the team, whereas you got Joel is the guy, the franchise. So Jimmy might get in a situation where he's like, man, why did I leave Miami for this? The ball was always in my hand.
Right. Yeah.
So it just doesn't make, I mean, it's great to say it sounds good on paper, but to me, basketball wise, staying in Miami makes it's the best decision for him and the Miami Heat.
All right. Two things. I want to get one in real quick. So what direction do you see? What's the most likely situation? As you sit here at this moment, things could change in 24 hours. Things could change in an hour. But as you sit here, what direction you see the Sixers going in terms of somebody to come in and help Embiid and help Maxey the way Daryl Morey spoke so glowingly during his press conference?
I don't know, man. It's kind of tough, dude, because to say it, like, you know, I think a lot of it, everything depends on what other teams are going to do. Right. Okay. And I mean that, like Paul George, like if Paul George, like you will say, well, they may have a chance, but at the same time, it all depends on what the Clippers are willing to do. And if the Clippers are willing to pay him, he stays. So it's not like that, you know. I hate to say it, like right now on in early May, it's hard for me to say which way they're going. I don't think the Jimmy Butler thing going to happen, and I don't think the LeBron thing is going to happen. And I think there's a lot of variables involved with, with the Paul George thing. It could happen, but I think the Clippers have to not give him what he wants for that to happen.
But Kareem Abdul-Jabbar is still a possibility.
Yeah, he can still do that sky hook.
All day. All right. Real quick. Kelly Oubre, good chance of coming back?
Yeah, great chance of coming back. I mean, I think so.
Okay, and then the other name that I wanted to add, Nico Batum. Nico Batum?
I hope he comes back. I mean, because I think that he would be a good fit. And
I agree.
The thing, Joel definitely wants him to come back. So that's something. And if Joel wants you to come back, you might get paid.
That definitely goes in your. That goes in. That's it. That's Joel Embiid's apology to France for not playing for them. It's making sure one Frenchman. Make it through. One Frenchman gets paid. All right. And then Buddy Hield is the last name I want to ask you about.
I don't know about that one. I know he had the big game. But I just don't know if he's a good fit for what they're trying to do. Like, Buddy is a guy who needs the ball a lot and takes a lot of shots. He's not going to get that many shots playing with Embiid and Maxey. So I don't really know if it's going to work out. All
right. Then in closing, I want to end on a good note. How freaking amazing is Tyrese Maxey? It just continues to get better every single year, like giant leaps. But I used to call it the Hertzian leap. I might have to call it the Maxian leap now because that's how good this guy is.
Oh yeah, he's great. Like I use him as a role model for my daughter. Like just saying how this guy always puts in the grind. Like he's always working. Like he's and it sounds corny. Oh, I'm gonna get 1% better each day. Like shut up, man. But at the same time, he's right. He's gotten better like every day, every season he comes back. Like, he'll leave. Like, I bet you he's leaving now. And when we see him by the start of training camp, he's going to be a better player. He's improved every year. Every time he leaves, he comes back, he does this. And that's just his work ethic. And the thing about it, he's a nice guy. Like, he's really a nice guy. People love him. He took that step forward. Hey, look, I didn't think he was this good. I just didn't. I thought they were going to take a step back without James. And he proved me wrong. He proved me wrong.
Keith Pompey, Inquirer.com. Make sure you guys are reading all his stuff, Inquirer.com. And also listening 5 days a week to Locked On 76ers podcast hosted by that man right there. His name is Keith Pompey. Keith, always a pleasure, brother. Thank you so much.
Thanks for having me on, my man.
About that, Keith Pompey joining the show. Thank you, Keith. Much appreciated. Lot to unpack, to use that phrase, from Keith. The first thing is, again, the Sixers just kind of being toyed with in free agency. Oh, the Sixers have all that money and they like me. Paul George, LeBron James, Jimmy Butler, whoever. So that's there. Also, Joel Embiid needs to lose 20 pounds. I am not a health expert. I don't really count carbs. I kind of just go, I've had a lot of pasta this week. I should probably not have pasta right now. That's how I do that. I'm not a very, although the pool's opening, so I might become a little healthier with, maybe swimming laps and all that stuff. But I can't tell what Joel Embiid needs. I don't know what he needs. The people that want to trade like Joel Embiid right now, I see their point because it's always something. That's the key thing that always gets repeated. It's gastroenteritis. It's a broken face. It's a shoulder. It's the meniscus. It's a hand injury. It's a concussion. It's always something with Joel Embiid. And after Keith and I ended the interview, we stayed on and chatted a little bit. And it's one thing that we talked about with Joel Embiid, and it's like he made the comparison to Wilt Chamberlain, which is fair. I mean, from what I know, I didn't watch Wilt, but if you would have told me that you get Wilt Chamberlain, but then you also say, but you're not going to have Wilt Chamberlain for like 2 key games in the playoffs. At worst, you're not going to have him at 100%. Or excuse me, at best, there's going to be 2 games where you don't have him at 100%. And the number of ailments that you'd roll out there over a 5 or 6 year period is pretty insane. You might go, it'd be great to have Wilt, but if I don't have him when it matters most, okay. Because look, it's great to get through the regular season and be awesome and be dominant and have an MVP player. But the thing that raises the stakes is what you paid. And what we paid as a fan base is 3 years of this team's going to suck. It's going to be terrible. You're not going to get much enjoyment out of an 82-game regular season for really 3+ years. And then Joel Embiid's going to play a little bit. We're going to fire your general manager. There'll be God, I don't want to recap the whole thing, but it almost could not have gone worse. When it comes to scandals, first round, number 1 overall picks not being here, bounce down the playoffs continuously prior to the Eastern Conference Finals. Like, it sucks. It really has sucked. So to forfeit 3 years, to go through the BS that we've gone through, the attempt at cashing in chips, the only post-Joel Embiid saving grace that the 76ers have is Tyrese Maxey, and that's still pretty good. I'd like, Maxey and Joel would be maybe a little bit close. Like if Markelle Fultz developed in the early goings to Tyrese Maxey, and you had essentially Maxey and Embiid, but just named Fultz and Embiid. That'd be awesome. I would like that very much. But unfortunately, that wasn't the case. So that kind of sucks too. But I'm glad what we have now. I'm glad that we have it now. But as far as what Joel Embiid needs to stay healthy, I don't know. I would assume that the Sixers have some pretty good medical minds on it. I would assume that Joel Embiid seeks his own medical attention with some great responsibility. And if it was up to me, look, I kind of fall in the same place as Daryl Morey here as far as I'm never going to tell a player what to do and not to do. If I really wanted to play for my country, which nobody's asking me for the record, I'd love it. That's awesome. You take some pride in your country and the country you've become a citizen in and the country your son was born in. That's got to be incredible. And I wouldn't want anyone to have to pass that up. But if you're asking me as a 76ers fan, whether or not I want Joel Embiid playing in the Olympics, hell no. Hell no. Absolutely not. I don't want him playing in the Olympics, for crying out loud. But that's going to happen. Can they get a minute restriction? Can something like a load management in the international play? Can something like that happen? No? Sweet. Okay. But I don't know what he needs in the not too distant future here to stay healthy. I don't know what he needs to do. I'm sure they got great minds on it, but all I know is every single year it's something. And I feel like that window is closing with Joel Embiid. It's certainly not getting wider. And even if you go out and you sign, and I mean, we talked about the age of LeBron James yesterday, 39 years old. Paul George just turned 34. Jimmy Butler will be 35. 35 at the start of next season. Zach LaVine, who I think is going into the final year of his contract and coming off foot surgery, he's 29. It's very difficult. It's very difficult. I'd very much like for the Sixers to only have to give up money, in the offseason and be able to add the pieces. If you're telling me one of those four names is coming here, some via trade, some via free agency, I'm a happy camper. If you're telling me that you're going to have Kelly Oubre back on this team, if you're telling me you're going to have Nico Batum back on this team, that's at least a good start. But I don't think there's any question the Sixers need that third wheel. And if it's an aging veteran that still has a good skill set, if it's Paul George settling more into an outside shooter where you're going to see him shoot at 41% from beyond the arc, I'm a pretty happy camper about that. Throwing that into the mix with Joel Embiid and with Tyrese Maxey. And when you talk about an aging veteran with possibly diminishing skills over 2 or 3 years, yeah, $50 million doesn't sound great. But if he's asked to do less and can somehow find a way to help you more as a third guy, as opposed to a number one or number two, then, if that's the way the ball bounces, that's the way the ball bounces. I want to salvage something from this. And I don't want it to be, and I don't say this with disrespect because I love Tyrese Maxey, and I echo the sentiments that Keith Pompey just said. I tell my daughter that Tyrese Maxey is a role model. That's a pretty awesome thing. That's a great compliment from a Sixers beat writer. But when it comes to the very near future here with the Sixers, I'd like to see him win a championship. And I know they got two great pieces. Daryl Morey ain't lying when he says he's got two great pieces in Maxey and Embiid. We certainly know that. So I'm going to really hope that that's what comes to fruition for the Sixers and that this offseason is a successful one. And the greatest chips that you could cash in, especially when you're talking about salary cap, you cash in this offseason. And I hope it's just not the Sixers being dragged along to up the ante in other places. So I'll cross my fingers for that. Before I get to the chat check, let me tell you about the Gametime app. Do you have the Gametime app? You want to go to the game? Phillies afternoon game. Maybe you want to go down to the Phillies game today, right? Well, how would you like $20 off your first purchase on those tickets? You can get that with the Gametime app when you use promo code Farzy. Sign up at the Gametime app. Download the app, create an account, use promo code Farzy, and get $20 off your first purchase at the Gametime app. It's just that easy, ladies and gentlemen. Download the Gametime app to your phone. Use promo code Farzy. Now, here's what they have. They have flash ticket deals. They have last-minute ticket deals. So if you want to go to the concert, the event, the comedy show, it's all available in the Gametime app. You might miss the opening act. You might miss the headline. You won't miss the opening act in the middle, but you won't miss the headliner, and you'll also get mega huge savings when you do that on the last-minute ticket deals that are available on the Gametime app. And how about this? The Gametime guarantee. You love the Gametime guarantee is amazing. You find tickets in the same section or row for less money elsewhere, and the Gametime app will get you back at 110% of the difference on your Gametime account. That's the Gametime guarantee. So download the Gametime app to your phone if you want to go to the big game, the concert, the comedy show, the big event. Download it to your phone. Use promo code Farzy when you create an account and get $20 off your first purchase. Not too bad. All available on the Gametime app. How about PHL Sports Nation? Philadelphia Sports Nation, enhancing your Philadelphia sports fan experience across all social media and blogs. That's PHLSportsNation.com. Let's get to the chat check and see how you guys are doing on this fine Wednesday morning. A little rainy today in the Philadelphia area. All right. Let's see. James Alexander, what's going on? Good morning. We're winning the National League East Division. I love it. James Alexander, the third. Sixers need to bring back Jimmy Butler. I think Keith made a very strong point. I love Jimmy Butler. You love Jimmy Butler. We all love Jimmy Butler. Jimmy Butler was great here when he took over point guard. I mean, he was great here in general, but one of the things Brett Brown did that was very necessary was Jimmy Butler became the point guard, especially in the playoffs. That, of course, didn't sit well with Ben Simmons, but Jimmy Butler, the veteran, Ben Simmons, the young up-and-comer, if you will. I wonder how much Jimmy Butler being here would take away from Tyrese Maxey. And you might say, oh, nothing could take away from Tyrese Maxey. I love Tyrese Maxey. He's a very respectful young player. I wonder what a personality like Jimmy Butler would do. And I also wonder about being 35 at the start of next year. That's a concern for me. Good morning, IBH. Good morning, Sean Gillespie. So what I'm saying is Jimmy Butler isn't my first choice. April, what a freaking game! It wasn't. Oh, you know what's going to happen today, and I'll get to it in the morning rush. But they got an ERA on the mound today of 5.22, I think it is, that they're facing in Bassett. So yeah, of course they go out and rock the 144 guy, but the 5.22 guy, that's where they get shut down, and it's a 2-1 ball game, and the Phillies lose. Buddy Christ, good morning to you. Thank you for all your help last night with the Phillies. Sean Gillespie, Kawhi and Playoff P are getting paid all that. Just amazing. It's a funny game, man. It's a funny game. Hutch, I made a mistake yesterday. Saying Wheeler was the best free agent signing in city history. You said Harper, and I completely didn't think of him because I always think of him as homegrown because he's Philly. No, yeah, I see what you're saying. Like, he just feels like he's been here forever. Even though he was literally playing in our division, we're like, he's a Philly. Not a big mistake, bud. Not a big mistake, Hutch. All good. Sean Kilrain, what's going on, sir? Sean Kilrain, Bryce Harper, grand slam. 10 RBIs the last 3 days, 3 runs, 3-run home runs, 3 home runs, number 3. Home run grand slam. Bryce is right. Grand slam, 10 RBIs the last 3 days. 3-run home runs. Home run, 3-run. What is happening? I think very, very excited. I'm excited too. Kody Clemens, I like what he brings to the team. What needed jolt, keeping it going. Hells yeah. Twiz, what's going on, Twiz? What's popping? Daz. Kody Clemens is a stud. Okay. I wasn't sure if you were saying stiff or stud. I'm like, how dare you? The day after a guy is 2 hits short of the cycle. Double and a single short of the cycle after 2 innings. Doing this without Trey Turner and JT in the lineup as well. Yeah. That was an insane lineup yesterday. So here, let me set the scene for you. So yesterday, I'm doing yard work, because I'm a suburban dad now, and I'm doing yard work. And I was like, all right, I got an hour I can spend in the yard. I'm going to go spend it in the yard and do that, right? So I have the earphones in, earbuds, right? The AirPods, right? And it comes up. I hear a notification, and it says, Phillies lineup. And it goes, what was it yesterday? Schwarber. I'm like, that makes sense. Merrifield. I'm like, huh? Harper. Okay. Castellanos. What? And then, what was it? Marsh. Stubbs was in there. Sosa was in there. And I'm like, Clemens is in there. I'm like, what is going on? You're facing a 140 for the best ERA in baseball. And you're like, ugh. The old Tinker Topper routine of, well, I got to get these guys runs. I got to get these guys runs. I got to get them runs. Got to get them up there. I don't mean runs as in scoring runs. I mean, I got to get those guys some run. They got to play. Really? On today? Today they got to play? And apparently he was right. The only thing I'm not a fan of is Turnbull in the bullpen. What did he end up doing last night on the line? I watched him. He looked good. I don't know this line off the top of my head, but I'll get that for you because you know what? I'm a worker. I'm a worker. I work for you. Here we go. What do I got? Hold on. Pots and pans. Turnbull, 2 innings. 1 walk. That's great. That's great. I just kind of wanted to see his demeanor out of the pen. 33 pitches over 2 innings. I'm happy with that. I still can't get over 89 pitches over 7 innings of work for Christopher Sanchez yesterday. That's a day, folks. That's a day. Phillies had, IBH, I'm glad you brought this up. Phillies had an umpire blown call that went in their favor, finally. So here's the deal on that. It led to a huge inning. It led to the grand slam. So, yes, I would be pissed off, too, if I was the Blue Jays. However, there were 2 calls that Christopher Sanchez did not get when 2 Blue Jays offered at the pitch. Was it close with Kyle Schwarber? It was certainly close, but he got hit by the pitch. He gets awarded first base. There were 2 calls earlier in the game that went in the Blue Jays' favor, and I didn't see that P5 foaming out of the dugout. So, come on. Yes, did it go in their favor? It absolutely did. Kane, Daryl Morey is a clown. Let me repeat myself. Daryl Morey is a clown. Daryl Morey is a liar. Let me repeat that. Daryl Morey is a liar. Very good, Kane. I think you said that in the cadence of, or typed that in the cadence of James Harden. Sean Gordon, most points, rebounds, assists this postseason. 360, 349, Jokic, Brunson, 290. Oh, wow. Embiid, Luka. Good Lord. The trade deadline. Wow, Hutch. I don't even want to look at the standings yet, let alone the trade deadline. But red hand bullpen, yeah, go for it. Kane, I liked Tony Bradley, but Morey got rid of him for old-ass George Hill. Yeah. Kane, I understand your fire. Daz, just bring back Jimmy Butler. Embiid needs doctors and nutritionists, says Sean Gillespie. Good morning, Sean. Kane, Brandon Ingram is an interesting one. Young, 2nd overall pick behind Ben Simmons. He's been a shooter from the start. Down year last year. So Paul George had the uptick of like 30 or 35 to 41% from beyond the arc. Ingram, I think, went down to 35% from beyond the arc. Still a 20 points per game shooter. But yeah, if you can get Brandon Ingram here, he's a good addition. Like 3rd star, I don't know about that. My number 1 choice is Paul George. I'm not crazy about all of it, but if it's a short deal, 2 years, most 3, I can get down with that. Because I think he plays the wing position so well, and he's so versatile. Jimmy Butler's not the same player, says Kane, injury prone. Yeah. 1%. Sean Gillespie, 1% better every month for me, as opposed to every day for Tyrese Maxey. Daz. Embiid acts like he doesn't even want to be in the playoffs, and he still puts up 50 points. Never seen anything like it. Here's my thing with Embiid, man. You could say, like, injury prone, can't stay healthy and all that stuff. Here's the thing I'm not saying. Soft. And you didn't say that, but it came to mind. Embiid ain't soft, man. He shouldn't have played in those playoffs. There's no way he should have played in those playoffs. The Sixers don't have Embiid against the Knicks. You're lucky to win 1 game. The only evidence you need, I don't know if I said this with Keith in the interview or if I said this off camera or off mic. It's not even close. The only evidence you need is the minutes Paul Reed was out there. Speaking of Simmons, speaking of Simmons, says April, glad he turned out took time out of his busy basketball schedule to go to the Met Gala. Yeah, man. Wow. Hey, I'm all for living life, man, but you know you're going to hear it if you go to the Met Gala after you haven't played ball. I mean, if anyone, such as myself, has had the argument all throughout that Ben Simmons doesn't love basketball, he loves what basketball brings him, he's one of those athletes, there's no better shining example of that than going to the Met Gala. Thanks, everybody in the chat. You guys are wonderful, as per usual. Speaking of a social goings-on, the Tom Brady roast. Let's get to the Morning Rush brought to you by Sky Motorcars, skymotorcars.com. First off, let's get to the Phillies. Phillies wrap up this brief 2-game series with the Toronto Blue Jays this afternoon, 1:05 start time. Aaron Nola will be on the hill for the Phillies against Chris Bassett. Aaron Nola, 4-1 on the season with a 3.32 ERA. Nola also coming off a start where he lasted just 4 innings, allowing 2 runs, 4 hits, in a 4-3 victory over the San Francisco Giants. So that's good. That, unfortunately, I think was the game that Trey Turner got hurt in. He'll go against Chris Bassett, who gets the ball. I mentioned, what did I say, 5.22 ERA? 5.45 ERA is 2-5 on the year as the veteran 35-year-old right-handed pitcher. He is coming off a 6-inning performance against the Kansas City Royals where he allowed 3 runs on 4 hits, walked 1, struck out 4. Previous to that, he got shellacked by the LA Dodgers in 2 2/3, allowing 7 runs on 9 hits and 2 home runs surrendered in a 12-2 loss to the Dodgers. So the Phillies have the righty on the mound today, and you just know, here's what would make me really believe that the Phillies are off to a great start. They shell this guy with 15 runs. If they take him for 15 runs today, that's what I'll go with today. And Nola goes 8 innings, allowing I'll give him 2 runs today. A home run by Bo Bichette. I say Bo Bichette gets it going in this game today. As for anything else, the Tom Brady roast, it's 3 hours. I got through about an hour of it yesterday. Wow. Wow. It was pretty, what I have seen so far. I am not offended. I'm not someone that gets offended at stuff like that. There's nothing to do with me, but I just can't believe, like, one of the things, if I've talked to comedians, and one comic I've talked to about this, oh my God, Jim Florentine. There's a couple of rules. Very few rules, but a couple of rules. But one rule is no kids. No kids. And his kids get some shout outs. Leaving his kids, not being around his kids. And I'm like, that's the only thing that makes me go, yee. Giselle, as I'm sure you've seen, gets talked about. One thing that does happen in the roast, I've seen the clip that I saw the clip before it went around, but I didn't hear it till I actually watched it. The clip that went around with Bill Belichick coming out saying to Kevin Hart, hey, Kevin, can you get me a seat like this in Philly? That's pretty hilarious. But what I didn't hear when I saw the clip, but only heard when I watched it, was Bill Belichick says, hey, Kevin, can you get me a seat like this in Philly? And then you hear a, go Birds! And that made me laugh hysterically. So it's really funny. Nikki Glazer crushes it. Jeff Ross, as one would expect, crushes it. Julian Edelman was great. I thought he was great. Gronk was great. Gronk was out of control, man. Gronk was very much Gronk. And that's what I've got. So maybe I've gotten through more of an hour and a half, maybe. But yeah, it's pretty incredible. Over the last 2 days, I started watching it and can't wait for the ending. I haven't seen Tom Brady's close yet. His ending. But yeah, it's so if you have time, you watch it in increments. It's become my breakfast show, you know. So watch it in increments. But yeah, it was pretty spectacular. I did laugh out loud at the Go Birds thing. Thanks for watching. I did see that Philly called Tom Brady racist, or Tom Brady called Philly racist. That is, have you ever been to Boston? Yeah. Philly? Bold. Tom Brady. Bold. Very bold. I mean, I think everyone's seen that if that's in the clip. So I want to hear that take on it. Yeah. Wait. Boston, big rhythm, Boston player. I know, right? Bo Bichette has a 150 batting average. I know. That's why I said he's going to get it going today. I was a big fan of Dante Bichette. So anyway, thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. You guys are great. Make sure you guys smash the like button on the Farzy Show. Make sure you guys smash the subscribe button on the Farzy Show YouTube channel. Make sure you guys like and subscribe to Jacob Media. Make sure you guys like and subscribe to Locked On Sports Philadelphia. Well, I'll be providing you Phillies postcasts. So I'll be on right after the Phillies games, as I've been throughout this season. And you guys could log on and subscribe to Locked On Sports Philadelphia for those instant reaction shows, those Phillies postcasts on the Locked On Sports Philadelphia YouTube channel. So make sure you guys do that as well. But thanks to Keith Pompey. I'll be back with you guys this afternoon following the Phillies Blue Jays game at 1:05 today on Locked On Sports Philadelphia. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Have a great rest of your day, everybody. My name is Mark Farzetta. Thanks a lot. See you guys later on. Bye.